Hey, Tim. Now, while the Harry Meghan Oprah interview was difficult to watch for some, there are some lessons that corporate America can glean from the experience. So I want to bring in Minda Harts. She's CEO of career development platform, The Memo for Women of Color. And she's also the author of the best-selling book, The Memo, What Women of Color Need to Know to Secure a Seat at the Table. Minda, thank you so much for being here. You have the lived experience of being a Black woman, person of color in corporate America. What triggered you most about watching this interview?
Yeah, thank you, Renita. It actually triggered me because I remember not too long ago when I was in corporate America, when I felt like I was experiencing racial aggressions, and I tried to tell those in power about my experiences, and no one took them seriously. I was the only one. And just like Megan, you feel that isolation when you are the only or one of few. And so I felt a lot of those emotions that I felt in my former life as well. And I think a lot of Black women and women of color felt those same emotions.
Okay, and so I want to talk about the lessons. You said that the number one thing is that HR needs to be a place where everyone feels safe. Can you tell us how one can not feel safe going to HR talking about these kinds of issues?
Absolutely. I think that there is a misconception and maybe some truth to it, but that often people feel like HR is not a place that they can go. It's maybe a last resort, or if even if they go, that their grievances won't be taken seriously because it didn't happen to them. And so I think one thing that HR can do, corporate America can do, is hear Black women out when they have an experience. Hear them out, find out, investigate. Don't just dismiss their claims because you might have a relationship with that person or what have you. So I think it first starts with the empathy piece and documenting and taking these claims seriously.
Okay, and so another part of it you talk about is it's important that HR reps are not the only ones who understand how to have these conversations. Just tell us a little bit more of how much more detrimental it is that managers, maybe even allies in the newsroom, are able to have these conversations.
Absolutely. In order to make the workplace work for everybody, everyone needs to put on their chief diversity officer hat. And so it can't just be one person handling it all. It's really incumbent upon everyone to make sure that everyone feels psychologically safe inside the workplace to express their grievance. And then also, as a woman of color, when you're the only one, you shouldn't have to fight racial justice alone. And I think this is where our managers and our allies really need to lean into their courage and learn how to have these difficult conversations, but ultimately be courageous listeners so that you understand what is happening so you can find a solution, not just dismissing it. That shouldn't be the go-to button.
I like that you said everyone should put on their chief diversity officer hat. And also, it sounds like you're saying that those who have privilege should use that privilege to make the workplace a better place for everybody. But this is not only on the onus of everyone else. Of course, you say that self-advocacy is also a part of the equation. So tell us a little bit more of what you mean when you say that and how one can be a better or a great self-advocate in the workplace.
Absolutely. When I wrote the book, The Memo, Renita, I interviewed hundreds of women of color. And the one thing they said to me was they felt like 70% said they felt like their managers weren't invested in their success. And whenever I hear that, and that would be, racial grievances as well, I say, you know what, you also have the power to advocate for yourself. And we are our best advocates. So let's not give that power away. Articulate your value, quantify your worth, and document those situations, because hopefully this is where our allies and our advocates and our champions will also be able to help us with that lift. And so don't forget, don't count yourself out, that you also have a voice. You just have to decide how you want to use it, and you are your best advocate. So let's lean into the power that we have and the control that we do have over the situation.
I hear what you're saying, Minda, but there are people who feel like they've said all they can say. They've gone to all the diversity talks, all the roundtable discussions with the CEO, and they still don't feel like they're truly a part of the team, truly valued. Some maybe even don't feel safe in the workplace anymore. What should these people do? Because this is a real thing, of course, as you know.
Yes, I definitely know that to be true. And Better Out Coaching, they have some really great statistics, and they say that 1 in 4 people feel like they don't belong. And I imagine that Black and probably that's a higher number. But what I will say is we also have options. So let's not forget that maybe we don't belong in these spaces. And so, I would also encourage us to strategize our next move. You belong in every room you enter, but not every room deserves to have you. And so, understanding that if it's not a psychologically safe environment for us, what do we need to do to make sure that we are putting ourselves first? And that takes time, and that takes a strong network. So, rooting for you, and it is possible to find an environment that you can thrive in and not just survive.
I wonder if that correlates directly with the high number of Black female entrepreneurs. You know, I just thought of that. Maybe some research and a story for a different time. But I do want to ask you, you have a book coming out called Right Within, and it's how to heal from racial trauma in the workplace. Tell me something, Minda, where does the healing start?
Renita, it starts with us. I wish I could give everyone a magic wand and we can change the workplace overnight. But the one part of the equation that we can solve is making sure that we are right within. Because if you are in these environments and you've experienced years and decades of racial trauma, it's time to heal. And we have the ability to do that for ourselves.